You guys, there's a new background. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Trust Your Journey podcast / YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining. I'm just so excited. This week, well, last week technically, was so crazy and surreal. So my boyfriend and I got our first apartment together, and honestly, I just wanted to speak from the heart and talk about it. It's been so crazy. Like, on Saturday, a friend of mine actually posted on Facebook that if anybody needed an apartment, to let her know, because she was moving out of hers. And so I sent her a message. I'm like, hey, Dom and I have been looking. And like, she already knew that we've been looking, so she was like, oh my gosh, yes. So she gave me all the info, gave me the landlord's number. I called him immediately, and it was like 5:30 at night. I called the landlord immediately, and we met a couple days later. And then after that, like, we met so that was on Saturday. And then on Tuesday, we met, we looked around the apartment, and we chatted for a bit, and he was like, the apartment's yours, just come by Friday to make it official. So we came by, and we were actually able to come by a day ahead of time, sign the papers. We helped my friend move the rest of her stuff out. We cleaned up the place and started moving our stuff in, and now we're here. And the reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's been wild. Like, it was wild. So my boyfriend's name is Dom. I don't think I've actually talked about him on the podcast here, but his name is Dom. He's amazing. We were living in his grandfather's trailer since March, and now it's 2020. And we started looking for an apartment that month, and we were supposed to have moved out in April. And COVID hit and lockdown hit, so no one was going anywhere. So obviously it took a little while, and then we just kept looking and searching, and finally we are hearing people are starting to be able to move again. They're able to get apartments and houses and stuff. And so Dom started messaging all these people. We're searching, we're calling, we're trying to find a place, and nobody's answering. And then we're praying for months, since March, and it is currently November. And we just got an apartment last week. So it's been 8 months of praying and waiting and searching. And honestly, I just kind of had Dom take the lead on it, just because he knows the budget. I mean, I know the budget too, but he knows the little nitty gritty stuff, and that's just, he was willing to just kind of take it over. And so we did. And so this whole time, we're waiting, and then finally, when my friend Juliana posted that, it was the timing was perfect, and it just fell into our laps. And it was awesome. So a couple weeks ago, so mind you, we've been praying since March, and 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was talking to my mentor, Mandy. She's incredible. I wish I had all the words to say how much I appreciate her too, but anyway, so I was talking to her, and she was like, you know what? It would be really cool if you and Dom sat down and wrote down all the things that you would want in your future home. And she's like, and dream big. And even if it's not that, you find the place and it doesn't have every single thing on the list to start with, if it has a majority of the list, kind of manifesting. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I sat down with Dom, and we did it. We wrote down all these things, and 95% of what we wrote down on the list is here. And I want to read you the list. Central air. There's no central air, but the previous owner did leave behind her air conditioner. She's, like I said, a good friend of mine. She's very giving. She's so kind. She also left her microwave, a bookshelf, and a chair, and all these things were oh, we need these things. The chair we didn't really need, but it looks really nice, and I'm looking at it, it's over there. It looks really nice, and it matches the furniture, and it fits perfectly. So we were like, yes. Dom and I are going to be getting a cat soon, and she had a bunch of cats, so she left a cat tree. So yeah, there's just like things that she had left behind that was helpful. So anyway, there was no central air, but she left behind an air conditioner for us, a bathtub instead of just like a stand-up shower. There's a bathtub, a garage. We do not have a garage, but there's not a lot of apartments that garages are available. There's garages behind us, and basically when it, like, one of them opens up, I believe this building gets first dibs on it. So, and also, side note, Dom does car detailing, and turns out our landlord is a car guy, so Dom's gonna detail some of his cars. So that's really cool too, like more, just like that helps with like business for him, and then also just, so that's really awesome. And so again, like we would get first dibs on the garage, so that's really cool too. So we wrote down 3 bedrooms or somewhere that feels like home. The reason we had this was as long as it's like big enough, and like, so we were like, okay, so let's, if it's not 3 bedrooms and it's only 1, if it feels like home, it doesn't really matter. And if it's like roomy, it's still big, like big enough, like we can fit all of our stuff and like still move around freely and it just feels good, we'll go with it. Like it doesn't have to have 3 bedrooms, but that'd be cool. There's only 1 bedroom, but it feels like home. It was so strange. We both stepped into this place, and even though my friend's stuff was still here, we both were just like, this is it. Like, this feels like home. It's like you would, I would have never thought that it would have just like clicked so quickly for both of us immediately, but it did, and it's feeling even more and more like home, and like I don't want to leave. I haven't left the house all day. I've just been existing in my home, and it just feels so good. And I'll kind of go into that a little bit more later, but a balcony / porch. There's a fire escape, but most fire escapes that I've seen have like graded like bottoms, or they're all graded, and like this one is too, but they like finished it, so it's like a little balcony, and it's really cute, and I go on it every morning and I meditate. And mind you, we're on the 2nd floor, so we do share the balcony with other people, and luckily so far, me going out and meditating, nobody's like come out the door. Even if they do, I don't care, I'll make friends. Maybe they'll meditate with me, that'd be cool. Nice neighbors. We've had no issues so far, and according to my friend who was here before, she had no issues with anybody. Everybody was super nice. Actually, I did meet the one lady. There's like a little thing in the back where it's like if you are getting rid of stuff, you can set it on the area back there, and people can take it. They'll know the difference between trash and like the free stuff. So this woman asked me if I had put this one thing over there, and I said, yeah, I did. And it was a Tinkerbell bin. And she was like, oh my gosh, is there something wrong with it? And I said, no, it's perfectly fine. There's also another one in there too. There's like 2, like smaller one inside of it. And I was like, you can take them if you want. And she was like, yeah, I think I will. My granddaughter has a lot of stuff, and she loves Tinkerbell. So, and she was super nice. And so like, so far we have nice neighbors. A safe environment. Again, same thing. From what we've heard, this is a nice environment. Time will tell. We're in a totally different town than we were before. But so far so good. And again, from what I've heard, it's good. So, nearby park and pool. No idea where a pool would be, but there is a park literally on the side of the house. I thought maybe it was like somebody's backyard, but it's like open. So like they can, like I have godkids and a niece and a nephew, so if they come over, they want to go play outside. There's a park literally right there. Close to a grocery store. We're like 5 minutes away from a lot of the stores that we shop at, so groceries. Really, it's close by all the stores that we go to ever. So we're good on that. A place for visitors to park. So there is very limited parking, like everybody gets 1 parking spot, and luckily like Dom and I have already been sharing a car because mine, we're working on fixing it up and selling it. But there is a parking lot for people to park at, so that's good. A shower that doesn't turn cold. So where we were living before, the shower would be warm for like a couple minutes and then like turn cold, and then it would get warm and then it would turn cold, and it would like go back and forth eventually until it just stayed cold, and you'd have a solid 7 minutes before you were in a freezing cold shower. So No wallpaper. There's no wallpaper. Both of us don't like wallpaper. I like really, unless if it's really, really specific, and I couldn't tell you like what kind of specific design. But I am not a fan of wallpaper at all. So there's no wallpaper. And then the last thing on the list, I just kind of threw it on there just because we didn't have a towel rack where we lived, and it was annoying because the towels would not dry and there was no like fan in the bathroom, so everything was just always super damp. So anyway, I put towel rack on the list. I forgot to write the fan, but we got here and there's both. There's a towel rack and a fan in the bathroom to suck up all the moisture, which so grateful for that too. And then, so something else that's not on the list is I was talking to another friend of mine, and we were talking about just like our dream homes and stuff, and I was talking about how I do my gratitudes every morning and like writing it down, but now I just started speaking it, and she was like, what about if you had like a big chalkboard wall and you could write all of your gratitude on there and write like affirmations and really cool things? And I was like, yes, that'd be so cool. And I get here and there's a freaking chalkboard wall. Like, so the point of all of this, I know I've just spent however long explaining all the things that we put on our list and stuff, but manifesting is real, and prayer is real. So we just prayed and we just trusted. And the reason I'm putting this here and talking about it is because this is the podcast, Trust Your Journey, the YouTube channel, Trust Your Journey, and like dream of anything. And like I said in the last video, what you ask the universe for, what you ask God for, like it's gonna come back. And then even better, like I said, I didn't even put the fan on the thing, and the fan is in the house, and just like different things, and people are just giving us stuff that we need, and they're like, hey, do you need this? And we're like, yeah. And they're just handing us things, and it's just been so awesome, and we're so grateful. And if you've been following me on social media for a while, you might have a few months ago had seen me show you around the room that we were staying in, and talk about how I just was filled with the gratitude for it. So to kind of give you a quick background, so you understand like where I'm coming from and why this apartment means so much to Dom and I. We both just kind of ended up at his grandfather's house, and there was like not a lot of space there, for barely even for him. And then I ended up there too, and so my stuff was in storage at a friend's house, like all my dressers, all of my knickknacks, all my books, like everything except for like my clothes. And I managed to get a few knickknacks to kind of do something just to make it feel a little bit more homey, but I left everything there. And so finally, anyway, so I was so grateful to have been given the opportunity to live there, to live with Dom and his grandfather, just because I wasn't homeless. Like that's where it was. Or that's where I was. Like it was either that or I was gonna live in my car. And I'm so grateful that I didn't have to live in my car. But then of course, like after a couple months, it just got so frustrating, because when I tell you the bed was against the closet, like the head of the bed was against the closet, so we had to literally move the bed out of the way or sit on the bed in order to like wrestle to get anything out of the closet. And then the side of the bed was against the TV stand, and then I have a Peloton bike, and so that's like what I use for my workout, and I wasn't gonna not have that, because like, you know, that's what I need for working out. And it's small enough that it fit, but it was like it just barely fit. And we found a way so that I could like have my clothes like kind of shoved in places. So I was like, okay, if we can have the Peloton here, that'd be great. So then we had the desk, and then the Peloton was pretty much like against the desk. So, and like that was the room, and like there was like nowhere to walk. And we had these two shelf things here, and that's kind of where we kept like the rest of our clothes, and that pretty much made it like so there was no room to walk. So finally, like actually like 2 weeks ago, sometime after we wrote the list of things that we wanted, his grandfather took everything out of the closet, like all like the storage, so we got a little bit more space. We were able to put these inside the closet. And even just that little change, the energy flow, it was such a different feeling. It was so cool. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then it kind of opened up the space for more. And I don't know how to explain it, but it was, other than there was a shift by putting the dressers, or by putting the shelves inside of the closet. There was a shift, and we both felt it. And it was so strange, but it was just like, we went from having like no walking space to this much walking space, literally like forward and backwards, and like maybe like 1.5 of my arm's length that way. And so just that little bit of space was really important to us. And again, we just kept praying, we just kept trusting, and then finally we were like, you know what, we want to have Thanksgiving at our house, in our home. And we're like, we're not doing it here. We can't do it here. There's no way. There's just the energy that was in the house in general was just so negative and very agitating. So we were just like, we can't have it here. It needs to be in our own home. We just started talking about it as if it was already happening, and praying about it and just trusting that it was going to happen. And then it did. Like, we're having Thanksgiving in our house. Or like a Friendsgiving thing in our house. But, like, what? It's just so crazy to me, but it's so awesome. Like, when I tell you the journey that Dom and I had to get to his grandfather's house and then getting here, oh my gosh, we both moved. He moved 3 times and I moved 5 times between the two of us. Or he moved 3 times and I moved 5 times within the matter of a couple months. Like, life hit the fan for us in 2019. It was not a great, at the time it really felt like it wasn't a great year. And granted, there was a lot of traumatic things that had happened in both of our lives that neither of us would wish on anybody else, ever. But the people that we became after those things and the adventures, I guess you can call it, afterwards. So literally 2 days before we called the landlord and stuff, Dom came up to me. I was like, wow, I'm like, I'm grateful for this place. Like, we're not homeless. Like, I'm grateful that we have a place to stay and all this stuff. And then we got to talk to the landlord, see the place, and then it was just like, oh, the universe and God was just like, oh, you're both grateful for this. Great. Now you may have the thing that you've been asking for. And it was just like, what? It was just so crazy. So all in all, I just wanted to say that we are just so incredibly grateful for this new place. And just wanted to share the little bit of the backstory and as to why it means so much to us. As a reminder to, again, trust your journey, whatever is going on in your world. Just trust your journey, trust whatever's happening, that things are going to work out for you, and they are working out for you. So with that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching if you're on YouTube. I hope that you remember that no matter what is going on in your world, you're always growing, you're always glowing. And again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys, and I'll see you next Thursday.